Growing up being such a Michael Jackson fan, I was born the same week he was. I just celebrated my 55th birthday last week, and of course him being late August, another Virgo. I don't know if you know, but Michael Jackson, Madonna, and Prince, we were all born within about a 2-month period in 1958.
Oh, really? Cool. Something was happening in the
Very
stars.
very exciting time for music. Now, obviously, tell us about your love for Michael's music and what made you dedicate, your career to the celebration of his music.
Sure. Well, I was actually born a Michael Jackson fan, meaning that my family and both sides of my family were Michael Jackson fans. So I was exposed to that music early on in my life. And, it's just brought me complete euphoria. I can honestly say, I'm not ever completely happy unless I have that music or playing or I'm seeing him or something. And it was always my dream to meet him. And when I accomplished that in 2007, I just saw that I really could work with it. And because I'm so dedicated and passionate, I just ran and did everything I could to improve and get better. And more stuff comes all the time. Now, like I said, I'm working with Jennifer Batten, Michael's longtime guitarist.
Sure.
And we have several other people from his original band that are also interested in coming on board. So it's great. It's a dream come true. It was my dream to be like Michael, and now I'm somewhat living in his footsteps, or shadow, however you want to view it.
Well, certainly hard shoes to fill, but
Absolutely.
Very admirable to have the great Jennifer Batten playing with you, and to really try and recreate as accurately as you can, the experience. Tell us about the circumstances of meeting Michael. How was that arranged, and what did you get a chance to say to him?
Sure. What happened is there was a Thriller 25th anniversary in Tokyo, Japan. There were 300 tickets available, and I was lucky enough, by the grace of God, to get one of those tickets. Each ticket holder was guaranteed a meeting with Michael, very brief, like a minute. Get to take a picture with him, and he would sign an autograph. So that just seemed so outrageous to me that was even possible. You could put a price on meeting Michael. And as soon as I found out about the event, I decided I don't care. I have to do this no matter what. And then Halloween came up, and I said, well, you know what? This year I'm going to be Halloween Michael, because they always play Thriller at the club. So I went out and to a costume shop, and I put on a wig. And once I put on the wig, I could see his whole face come together. And from that point on, I had already been doing the dancing, so I just added the costuming, which enabled me to win all of the Halloween prize money. And that Halloween prize money afforded me to go to Japan and attend that event.
And tell us about how you spent your minute with Michael.
Sure. Well, what had happened is it was kind of like people were lined up like they were meeting Santa Claus, but he was in a closed room. And every time the door opened, security was dragging someone out because they didn't want to leave. So there's people coming out screaming, crying, like runny nose and all this stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on in there? Because I can't see or hear anything. But it was very surreal because I knew he was there and I was about to meet him. So when I entered the room, his back was faced to me, and he was talking to one of his security guards. So I tapped him on the shoulder, and then I walked around him. And then he looked at me up and down and then asked me where I was from. And I was like, Denver, Colorado. He's like, what's your name? I'm like, Carlo Riley. Because I really didn't know how to answer his questions. And I didn't even really know my name at that moment. It just kind of caught me off guard. And then from that moment, we started taking photographs. And he had his photographer come over and take additional photographs. Even though there was a limit of 1, I ended up with 3. And he has some more on file somewhere. And then I asked him for a hug. He gave me a hug, a handshake, and then he signed another autograph for me. And then from that moment, the security was just trying to rush me out of the room. They closed the door, and then as soon as I was back outside, it was just back to the pandemonium of screaming, crying fans.
Now, at that point, had you started the image of Michael?
Well, it was right before that. So
Okay.
It was the Halloween prior to that I was doing the image of Michael.
Okay.
And then once I used the image to obtain the funding to go there, and I met him, then I realized I really could make something with it.
Sure.
So from that point, my goal was to work for him as his body double, because I know he has very little privacy. And previously he has used body doubles, and I would be a very good candidate, being that we're the same height, weight, and body stature. And I was prepared to go to the first 5 concerts in London, and unfortunately passed. So all of that kind of went by the wayside. But nonetheless, my passion hasn't departed at all. So I'm still using that same passion to produce a show and do everything I can to expose more people to Michael Jackson style entertainment.
Now, tell us about how you met Jennifer Batten and convinced her to, collaborate with you in this endeavor.
Sure. Well, that was definitely a match made in heaven. But long story short, we have a mutual friend, and I went out on a Halloween party, and that mutual friend was there, and they just so happened to be playing their live band that night, and they said, well, we're going to play Beat It and a couple other Michael songs. If you want to come up and jam with us, feel free. So I did, and I went up on Beat It and ripped my shirt open, did the whole Michael act, and then afterwards they're like, you know what, we know Jennifer Batten, and we've been talking about putting a tribute together. So let's see what we can do. And then it turned out a couple months later, Jennifer was going to be in town doing a show with this band. And they were doing Michael again. But they didn't tell her that I was going to be there. So right in the middle of Jennifer's set of Dirty Diana, I come out onto the stage and I just do the Michael part. And then she just looked over me and was into it. And she just started feeding off it, just how she used to with Michael live on tour. And I was very happy to be for one, jamming with Jennifer Batten as Michael, but two, that she was enjoying it and saw the potential of what we could do together.
Well, we know Michael left way too soon.
Absolutely.
But the lasting quality of his music is obviously timeless. What do you hope that people hold in their hearts the most of Michael?
Just the true musical genius and humanitarianism that he possessed. Anything outside of tabloids and whatnot, I mean, it's just so stupid that that's what's taking front and center versus the music. Who cares about all that stuff? But in the long run, it really won't matter. 100 years from now, no one will even have heard about any supposed allegations about him. That will have all died off. Just the music genius will have lived. And he continues to inspire generations. All artists in any form of art that they've participated in, he has influenced. And he literally took art to another level. The evolution of art is very due to Michael Jackson.